How does this sound?
You're listening to another Woodshop podcast, the okayest podcast of its type. Your hosts are Daniel Dunlap of Daniel Dunlap Woodworks and Peter Kapar of P-Trees Workshop. You can find them as well as the podcast on your favorite social media platforms.
Welcome to episode 163 of another Woodshop podcast. This week we are joined by another one of my favorites, the small shop tool Tetris king himself, a musician, dare I say artist, and a bit of a mad scientist, testing out the woodworking techniques so that you don't have to. My second favorite Canadian thing after poutine, Scotty the Walsh is here. What's up?
Me? Thank you. What a nice intro.
It was all lies.
Scotty's here. Hello.
Hi, guys.
The D in the center is a T-H-E. Scotty the Walsh. The only Walsh. Yeah. All the other ones, those are phony Walshes.
Yeah,
I can tell you who is not a phony Walsh is our patrons. Ain't that right, Dan?
That is correct, my man. And speaking of patrons, we have one new patron this week.
What?
Yes. But I got some news. It's not that Aaron. It's the other one.
Oh.
That's his name. That's his name on Patreon.
The other Aaron?
No, it literally says not that Aaron, the other one. So thank you.
Wow.
Not that Aaron, the other one. We appreciate your patronage. And speaking of our Patreon members, we have some VIP members we want to shout out. And I should have had this ready, but I did not. But I'm stalling, and I'm doing a good job stalling. Look at this. Look at me stall.
Dan is stalling.
Dad, look. Dad, I'm stalling. Dad, look.
One of these days, one of these days, we're gonna do a podcast. I'm gonna have all this stuff ready, and people are gonna be like, ready. "What is going on?" Anyways, we want to give a big shout out to our VIP patrons, and they are in no particular order, but this order: Victor Aragama, Matthew Hoff, Nick Brim, Matt Maynard of Patriotic Pine, Steve Iadarola, Melinda Coons, Philip Plant, lead singer.
There he is.
Lead singer of Led Zeppelin.
That's good.
Daniel Bryson, Bill Burkle, Malcolm at Bossa Nova Woodworks, Jake Coneen, Justin at Calvary Customs, Christian Tongue, Square Splinter, Matthew from Artigiano Serio.
Oh, that's good.
Ooh. That might be.
Artigiano.
I've never read that name before, so he might be new. So,
are you accidentally reading all of our patrons?
Michael Flickinger, Scotty Holland, Mike Lydon, James Heimberger. I don't think I.
No, those names sound fine.
I'm reading off all the VIP patrons from the past.
From the past.
Not current.
Well, thank you for your service. But some of them are retired. We still thank them because they're the reason we're here. And I'm definitely not stalling while Dan sorts properly by active.
Get the right
is the word.
Oh, here we go. Let's start over. Victor Aragama, Matthew Hoff, Nick Brim, Matt Maynard, Steve Iadarola, Daniel Bryson, Bill Burkle, Malcolm at Bossa Nova, Justin at Calvary Customs, Christian Tongue, Square Splinter, Michael Flickinger, Scotty Holland, Mike Lydon, Max and Mindy Coons, and Jacob Miller. Thank you, everybody who are the patrons.
Awesome.
We appreciate your help and your support.
Of people.
Woo! One of these days, I'm going to get that down.
We got through it, though.
Oh, man.
Just barely.
And with that, I'm sweaty from you reading all the names.
I'm sweaty, too.
Scotty Walsh is here.
It's me.
Genuinely one of my
Scotty.
favorite interactions at Workbench Con this year was chatting with you and Suman. John wanted nothing to do with me. At the bar at Workbench Con, you got me inspired. It was great hearing you talk about what you do and what you're passionate about. I really enjoyed your content over the last how many years have you been doing it now? Well, actually, why don't you just give us the elevator spiel. Who are you? Who's Scotty the Walsh? And why are you the national treasure of Canada?
Who the hell do you think you are?
All right, here's the spiel. So in 1798, my great
Good Lord.
Started a YouTube channel.
Ever look for a recipe on the internet? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how they
Give me
go.
the recipe elevator pitch.
Maximum ad space in my intro. All right, here we go. So yeah, a few years ago, I was studying engineering, and then COVID hit, and we kind of
a story as old as time.
I know. I don't want to redo the same diatribe, but basically what happened was I ended up working from home during a work term for a local gas company, and their expectations from me were basically nothing, and they didn't keep tabs on me at all. So I basically sat at home getting paid to do nothing. So I was like, what?
Sounds like the dream.
I'm gonna make something of this, and I started the YouTube channel. I mean, look, before that, I had been woodworking since I've been a teenager. Basically, I started woodworking. I want to say maybe like 14 or 15. I don't know. It was kind of vague when I started, but I had been a drummer since I was a little boy, and by the time I was a teenager, I really wanted to make my own.
So you were
drums.
a little drummer boy?
I was a little drummer boy.
Took the joke right out of my mouth.
I saw your lips moving.
You wanted it. You wanted it.
I had something else I wanted to say before the drummer boy. So instead of getting paid to sit at home and do nothing, you thought, hey, I should do something.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
There's always something to do, you know.
Oh, Dan doesn't know how the other half lives.
Nothing.
Dan doesn't know how motivated people live.
I used to carry my work laptop down into the shop with me just to make sure I wouldn't get like a Skype call.
Just in case.
Just in case. It never happened. So I at the end of my work term, I gave back their laptop, and it was just full of sawdust for no reason at all. They're like, okay, whatever. They didn't care. But yeah. So I started woodworking as a teenager because I wanted to make drums, and back then there was no real guide. The internet was not really helpful in that regard in the early 2000s, mid 2000s.
Are you telling me the Wood Whisperer didn't make a video on how to make drums?
No. If he should have, I would have
how
been
to make drums.
much
Brought to you by
farther along.
Powermatic.
Cue the jazz intro. So back then I kind of experimented with that, and I also started making furniture when I was a teenager as well. And then I ended up moving to Toronto on my own to study music, and after that I kind of started developing my own workshop after flying the coop years before. So slowly I've been building up a workshop ever since, and I still feel like I'm building a workshop. I'm constantly building a workshop, but I guess that feeling's
Is anybody ever really done building a workshop though?
Absolutely not.
You are not, you liar.
I just got a mini split. That's literally that belts and suspenders. Mini split, done.
We'll circle back in the mini split because I'm pro mini split too after just installing one.
I want to put a pin in this. We're going to come back a year later and see how done he is. Anyway,
I'll do a note.
Continue.
I started again in my 20s, building up tools and stuff like that. All my machines are like like Craigslist finds in Canada.
Kijiji.
Yeah.
What?
Canadian words.
I know.
Can you elaborate? Do you guys not have Craigslist?
It exists, but people don't really use it. Kijiji was more popular, but now Facebook Marketplace I think is the most popular.
Oh my god!
Is this still available?
Something. Is it still available?
Yeah, I think so. And I probably
he doesn't get it.
Recently.
Oh, you guys don't get that up there.
What?
No matter what you list, because the quick response anyone can hit when they're drunk, going through Marketplace at 2 a.m. is hi, is this still available? So you just get flooded with those anytime you list it. It's
100%. That happens on Kijiji too, but I think when you're just selling machines, you get a little bit less than that.
2,000 no low ballers. I know what I've got.
Back off, man.
For reasons I don't want to divulge quite yet, can you spell Kijiji for me?
K-I-G-I. Sorry, I can't spell it. K-I-J-I-J-I.
Okay, I was really hoping it was J's.
Oh, okay.
It's
all right.
The GUI looks a lot better than Craigslist, I will say, but that's not a very hard thing to accomplish.
Ooh, I know what that means.
Yeah.
Graphic user interface.
You nailed it. Good job.
How did I know that?
Uncle Dan.
Oh, man.
Uncle Dan.
I'm that weird uncle that doesn't get invited to Thanksgivings.
Uncle Dan Rice.
It took me a couple seconds.
Uncle Dan.
Okay.
God. So dumb.
Oh man.
But anyways, you're saying, are you buying tools in Kijiji?
It's the whitest rice.
Anything else we were saying? Yeah. Wait. Kijiji just derailed me.
Derailment. Okay. So yeah, I just built up a workshop, and by the time I entered into my second degree in engineering, I had a decent sized shop. I was building things myself, but I've always wanted to make YouTube videos since I learned a lot more woodworking since like getting reintroduced to it through watching YouTube videos like, Mark and everyone else who was kind of on the go around 2010, 2012 sort of time frame on YouTube. So I was like, I could do that. So like, I'm a musician. I worked in recording studios, so the whole like media production scene was very familiar to me. So I could put 2 and 2 together. So when I had the time from my my work term that didn't really have me do very much, I was like, you know what? I just grabbed my phone, and I needed to make a firewood rack, and I just grabbed it and started making a firewood rack and recording what I was making. I had no plan, no aspirations for a YouTube career, anything like that at the time. I just wanted to film what I was making and throw it up, as many people do when they get started on YouTube. So I was following Matt Cremona at the time, and I think I just like messaged him, slipped into his DMs on Instagram. I can't remember how this happened, but essentially I just kind of asked him a question about how to YouTube or something like that. And somehow he like,
was it just how YouTube?
Yeah.
How YouTube?
Hi, Matt. How YouTube? Yes. So he answered my question. He was very nice, and then that was it. But then a couple days later, he had, on his own wherewithal, found my video, my one video, watched it, left a comment, and then he shouted it out on his live stream, and that gave me a little boost. And I was like, "Oh, nice. That was friggin' sick. This is like riding a good wave here." So I'm like, what's my next video? So, after a while, I just kept like producing videos as I could, which is not very often, but I was about a year in or so, and I met my buddy John Cesaro of Lincoln Street Woodworks and my buddy Suman Sarkar of Woodcraft.
We've heard of those guys.
Yeah, we've kind of become the
we're medium fans.
Yeah.
Huge medium fans of those.
Oh, yeah. So we hit it off, and essentially we just were able to use each other as a sounding board and learn from each other's prior experiences. John is just a bred businessman and a marketing guy, and he just really understands how to figure out what an audience wants, and I've learned so much from him. Suman, he's all right. I'm kidding. I love Suman. He's a great sounding board when it comes to anything technical, in terms of either like technical production stuff, in terms of camera stuff, or technical woodworking. He's a very proficient woodworker. So he's just a very smart dude, and he's basically able to problem solve anything when it comes to basically everything. He's awesome like that. So the three of us kind of gel together, and we've just stayed fast friends since then, and basically talk every day about stuff we're working on. Yeah. So that brings us to today. Well, I suppose in the past couple of years, my YouTube channel has kind of got a bit more momentum. I posted a video last January about working with construction lumber. That was like my first real, like, what felt like a success.
1.5 million views.
Yeah, like I was stoked. Ooh. That video kind of did fairly well right off the gate for my channel at the time. I think I had 1,200 subscribers.
That's got, according to my math, that's got like 1.48 million more views than most of my videos.
Yeah, that's about right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, YouTube is just a wonderful thing in that, like, when you get a video to take off like that, like the YouTube AdSense and everything that goes with it is really drives you to keep continuing to make videos that people want to watch. Mm-hmm. So that's basically been my motivation ever since that video took off, is basically just to figure out what people want to watch and what I want to make, and where's the happy medium between them. And
how do I replicate this and keep everybody happy?
How do we do this again?
Yeah,
so I can keep this house.
We can go into it a bit later, but YouTube is just what consumes my mind basically every day, all day. And how can I continue to build a successful business around my YouTube channel so that I can be more sustainable? So yeah, ever since the construction video kind of took off, I've been kind of just diving headfirst into this business of content creation and trying to make it work. So and I guess to cap that off, I graduated with my second degree in engineering. And I've decided to kind of continue with the YouTube business for now until maybe I need to go back to engineering. Who knows?
So that leads me to my next question. I think you just led yourself into it. Is this what you're doing full time now?
Yeah. Like I haven't announced it or anything, or I haven't made a big deal about it, but essentially I just kind of wanted to take the summer and just see how it goes, which is basically the worst season to do that because people aren't necessarily watching YouTube. And
they're not cooped
they're
up
outdoors
inside
playing.
Doing things.
No, woodworkers tend to be gardeners or just outdoorsy people in general. Not that I would know anything about that, but they tend to want to be outside, not watching YouTube. So the summer is a bit dull, unfortunately. But if I can make it through the summer, then I can make it. That's how I feel. So I'm gonna continue pressing on. And yeah, I guess I'm a full-time content creator business. I don't know.
Well, let me say congrats.
Congrats,
Thanks.
baby.
But I mean,
You're living the dream, Scott.
It's not that I'm not committing to it. It's just that I'm just feeling it out. I'm just having a good time feeling it out. That's it.
I mean, with 2 degrees and you're a drummer.
Oh, I can do anything because I'm a drummer.
Yeah. The options are endless, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
jazz.
The world is your oyster, from what I understand.
Rock, funk.
Now, follow-up question kind of to the beginning of why you got into this. Have you ever actually made a drum?
Oh, yeah. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you just were I want to build a drum, and then you just went on. It's like Malcolm in the Middle. You have a chore, but then you're fixing a car at the end of the day. You were I want to build a drum, but I can't do that till I do this, till I do this, till I do this. Well, I need to have 100,000 subscribers before I build the drum because that's when that's going to be good for content.
Follow-up question: is that a video that you've put out?
No.
The drum?
I mean, I made drums when I was this would have been, I don't know, 18 years ago or so, in my teens when I was trying to do that. So
dare I say future video?
I don't know, man. That's pretty niche, man.
He's over that.
That's a niche within a niche. I'm not over it. I would love to make a drum set, but the thing about YouTube is that you got to have a target audience, and a drum set is basically 2 audiences at once.
I mean,
the overlap between them is probably 5 people.
I'm asking you to make the video, but I'm going to be honest, I probably wouldn't watch it.
Exactly. See? And how could I make a title and thumbnail? I built a drum set. Yeah. That's
please watch.
please watch it. This was a lot
please
of work.
clap.
I'm trying to figure out how you can make it work.
So to go back to the drum thing, when I was a teenager, basically a drum that you would buy from Ludwig or Pearl or whatever.
Yeah.
They're a plywood cylinder. Now there's other ways you can make drums at home with using stave construction that people would make a barrel out of, but an actual drum that you'd buy from a manufacturer is a plywood cylinder, and it's surprisingly difficult to get a plywood cylinder to be accurate within a 32nd of an inch in diameter, so it's not egg shaped. And it's also really difficult at home to get the amount of pressure it takes to bond raw veneer together without any gaps or bubbles into a cylinder, because when you go a really tight diameter, it kind of takes a lot of force. And yeah, so basically as a teenager, I'd work my part-time retail job, and then I would spend all that in glue and veneer and plywood to make molds out of it and try and press plywood cylinders out of these molds. And I probably wasted $1,000 or more of my hard-earned minimum wage money trying to make this work. And eventually, I think after the 10th iteration or more, I was mildly successful. And I sold my first drum to a guy who owns a recording studio back home. And I really hope that he's still using it, because that would actually make me feel really good, because I wouldn't actually use it right now. And I did make a second one, and that's in storage. I don't use it, but that kind of was the end of the road for that. But I would love to eventually to get back to making drums, but it's just not marketable on YouTube. It's not like I'm going to go into business selling drums. It's just it was a pet project that's insanely expensive for what you get.
Well, it sounds to me like you just talked yourself into a reason to have a CNC. which from what I understand, you don't have one yet.
I don't, but
I made a drum on a CNC. Honestly, what you really need to do is really work it into like something very woodworking niche and just be like 5 instruments you can build with a pocket hole jig and like you're like
that would be awesome. Here's a
just
pocket
really lean
hole
into
acoustic guitar.
and see if Craig will sponsor it, you know?
Oh, wait.
I love that.
They'd be
Great.
down. I could
You just
I
like
could
you
pitch
wrap
that
the
to them.
plywood cylinder and at the end you join it with pocket holes. That's the seam. Just like almost like when you put on leather work when you get those little brass inserts or whatever.
like brads or whatever.
Yeah. Just like
Yeah.
but instead of those, it's just like a line of pocket holes.
Oh yeah.
Craig, come on. if
Well,
you're
you heard it
listening.
here first.
Yeah. Oh, with some nice plugs that come stock from Craig too.
It's like, and like make one of the instruments is just maracas, but they're just filled with Craig screws. So dumb. Let's do this.
Oh man.
All right. Well, that's awesome, dude. Like you, man, I remember like watching one of your. This is one of the more recent videos. It was one of the joinery videos, I think.
Yeah.
And you just like you said something right in the beginning of the video, and I forget. Like I
just
can't
pissed
remember.
me right off.
No, it was something that like. So here's the thing: when we get this question a lot, obviously, all of our listeners are makers or woodworkers of some kind. A lot of them are trying to get into content, which you don't necessarily have to do. You can just enjoy it and do it for fun. But a lot of us feel like we need to get into content. A lot of us also feel like we need to fall into a label. Like I'm a woodworker, I'm a furniture maker, I'm a pianist, whatever.
Oh, what? What's your
when you
mouth?
play the piano.
Oh, I know what
Yeah,
you're
This is
saying.
a family show, Pete. Calm down.
Is it? Since when?
Sometimes.
You know, it took me a very long time to finally just be like, wait, no. Like, I like making all things. Like, I'm just a maker. Like, I'm not, I love furniture making, woodworking, all that stuff, but I also like just computers and robots and weird stuff. And like, I just make with everything.
Yeah.
And then you also said something in one of your videos where you just like, I used to feel bad that I don't do commissions. Like, I felt like that was the thing to do. Like, you have to take on commissions. And you said in one of your videos so eloquently that like, I do this, and I don't know if it was for a Patreon or whatever it was. I don't remember what the statement exactly was, but it was how it made me feel of like, I don't take on commissions. I do this full time because I enjoy it. And this is like, you know, the way you put it was very eloquently, way better than what I'm saying right now. But I remember watching that and going like, I don't even care what this video is about. This is awesome. I just feel good about myself right now, just the way he presented himself about the way you're making the content. It was really nice.
Yeah, thanks. So here's the thing. Woodworking has always been a hobby for me. Now, content creation is my business, and that's how I make money. So it could be easy for me to say this, but I firmly believe that a hobby should be a hobby, and that you should not try and make a side hustle out of it unless you, I don't know, unless you really want to, and you could see the joy in it even when it's stressing you out. But if you're, it's just, everything changes when you try and make money out of something. Everything changes.
Yep.
So it
True
doesn't matter
facts.
what you're doing. If you're into leather making, if you're just an all-around maker, if you are into fine furniture, commission work, or whatever, at the moment that money and customers and clients get into it, it changes the perception of it because you're trying to please someone else. And now it's no longer a hobby for you. It's work for someone else. So where I target my content towards is firmly towards home hobbyist woodworkers. And I do outright say that in a lot of my videos because I want to make sure that people realize who I'm targeting, because no, you're never going to see a CNC machine in my videos, because unless you're a nerd like me, it's not really justifiable in that context for someone who wants to get into woodworking or get into anything really. So and like, I guess going back to what you said about like labels, and that's something I struggle with too, because 1 minute I'm a fine furniture maker, and 1 minute I'm playing with an Arduino. And in the case of what's on my bench, I am doing both. That's foreshadowing for you.
He does listen.
I do listen. Yeah.
My heart is so warmed right now.
But I I just do whatever I want to do. And because it's a hobby, I don't feel like I have to be anything else.
I love that.
So I don't know. That's just my recommendation to people out there. Like this whole side hustle culture that has brewed out of Instagram or wherever it's brewed out of just irks me to no end, because just because you're passionate about a hobby does not mean you have to take it to a business level. And in fact, it's probably better you don't, because if you just like your regular everyday job and you're satisfied with that, then you're going to go home and love your hobby. But if you're trying to get out of a situation, a career that you don't want to, and make a business out of something, then yeah, maybe that's justified.
Oh my God.
I feel that
so much.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you're speaking Pete's language over there.
Yeah.
I feel that one in my
tough.
jellies.
It's tough.
Because I mean, that's what woodworking for me was, like a hobby that was like, oh, this is making money. And then I monetized it and it was content, and the content was around it, and that became a job. And I hated it for a while. I just like wasn't really making content. Like there was a time, and I started this in like 2018. There was a year I basically took off. I posted like 20 times in a year. I left it when we were in like an engagement group. I like left the group. I just felt stressed and it wasn't fun. And then eventually, like when 3D printing started bringing in dollars, and I was like, oh, maybe I don't have to do commissions anymore to like support the hobby. Cause it was never like about starting a business. It was like, oh, let me make enough money so I can like buy decent plywood at Home Depot, for $50 a sheet, not 80 or 150 or whatever it is. But like
good old days.
It was nice to like have another part of the business. And then I was able to reclaim woodworking kind of for myself. And now it's become that like, okay, content's going to be the business part of it. The woodworking's fun. So I can like, yeah, I'm making for that, but like, it feels different now. It doesn't feel like the woodworking is the job. The shop feels like a sanctuary again, not a place I have to go to work.
Not prison.
That's not to say that those who are listening, that if they have a hobby, that they feel like they should start posting content about it. You should only post content about your hobby if you really feel like doing it, and
if you're looking for a community. If you're looking to engage with a community.
Looking for a community, but like if you just want to post content for the sake of sharing what you're doing, that's great. And if you want to do that, but just don't feel like you need to do that, no one's got a gun to your head. But yeah, finding friends, finding a community of like-minded people, it's just amazing.
I think if you're just posting stuff for fun, the community is gonna come.
You'll find your community. It's great.
Yeah, the community will find you.
The trick is that when you turn content creation into a business, now posting content and what the projects your content is about, well, the business is going to start dictating your content and therefore your project. So that's the position I'm in now, and I accept that, but it's definitely not for everyone, and don't feel like you have to get it down that road.
Right on. Well, you kind of started talking about what's on a bench. Why don't we jump into what's on a bench?
Oh yeah.
What's on my bench? I was gonna say let's have Scotty sing it because he did a wonderful job.
Scotty, can you Scotty, can you give us on a 3? 1, 3.
Wait, can I get an A? Can I get an A? Okay. What's on my bench? All right.
Oh, I love it.
Oh man,
it's very nice. Yeah, gotta clip that.
I think we're gonna keep the old one.
So Scotty, what's on your bench?
Oh, wow! Thanks for asking. So I haven't built a piece of like furniture in a while because a lot of my content is geared more towards shop projects because that tends to sell well. But I'm like, finally, I want to build a new coffee table for myself, and I'm doing it. I'm doing it now. So I'm building a coffee table. Last fall, I went down to visit my friend Suman, and he has a wood hoarding problem. So I went home with a bunch of white oak.
I'm sorry, Suman, who?
Some guy.
Is that the wood he stores in a basement that he hides from his shop so that it doesn't clutter up the background?
So he has his wood in his shop, and then he has his wood in his basement, and I don't know which is.
I think he mentioned that last week.
Oh, it's hilarious.
He mentions it in his shop tour video, and I just keep poking fun at him for it.
Oh, there's a lot of wood. There's a lot of wood in his basement too. It's nuts. I don't know how he gets away with it.
I mean, I'm one to talk. I have all my wood is in the shed. I have like 3 boards in the shop.
Oh, he's got like a stack of walnut there, a stack of maple there, a whole stack of like Paduke or something crazy like that. Like he's a nut. But anyway, luckily for me, he has a bunch of white oak and he doesn't like it apparently. I don't know why. Yeah,
I didn't like that guy.
He follows Sean Kirsch. Yeah, that's why.
Oh my goodness, the worst.
So I came home with a slab of white oak, which is not like big enough for a desktop or a dining table, but it was big enough for a coffee table. And I almost had enough white oak. Yeah, I had to go grab a few extra boards from the lumberyard. But anyway, so I'm building a coffee table, and I'm really liking the fact that I'm slowing down. I took my time with the design. I think I came up with something kind of unique, but at the same time, it's a very just simple, like 4-leg aprons sort of table. I just played around with curves a lot in SketchUp, and I got some nice flowy lines. So I'm like I'm digging what I got going on.
And should we expect a video for this?
100%. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Everything.
I did see your design. I like the
so the top, I've had this idea bouncing on the back of my head for a long time. So basically, when I sit down and watch TV, I 100% always will put my feet up on the coffee table like an ottoman. But it's not comfortable because it's a coffee table. So I'm like, well, should I just buy an ottoman? Because that's kind of but no, I still use my coffee table to lay stuff on. You could get one of those trays that go on top of an ottoman. That just looks like shit. I don't care. So then I'm like, what's really popular on YouTube? Oh, flip top tool carts. Everyone loves a flip top tool carts. So why not make a flip top coffee table and
It's brilliant.
So the top is like a regular coffee table, and you flip it over, and it's going to be an upholstered ottoman. And I'm going to have to learn how to use a sewing machine because the size is completely custom.
I am absolutely stealing this idea.
Just wait. It gets better.
There's more.
Because I'm a huge nerd and I studied this sort of thing, I wanted to motorize it. So basically...
Motorized!
I have it back there, actually, the prototype. Motorized! Yeah, exactly.
38 special? Anybody?
Sister Christian? Oh, yeah.
Oh, was that Sister Christian? Oh, my God, I just...
Well, it's...
Paul Blart? I don't know, we're just naming people?
Sister Christian is the song that the group is... it's escaping
I thought...
me now.
38 Special did motoring. I'm sorry.
I feel like they're Australian. I can't remember. Well, yeah. So there's a drive motor that's going to flip the whole top. There's an actuator that locks it in place, and you push a button, which is going to be hidden underneath the wood. So it's actually a capacitive touch sensor. So you basically just touch a spot in the apron that's not even marked, but you touch it, and it'll unlock, flip itself, lock itself back in place.
I am so excited right now.
So everything works in theory right now, but it's not fully together. Basically, I'm almost ready to kind of do a finish prep and glue the base together.
I'm just going to put a note here that's just like an asterisk, like see intro, mad scientist.
Look,
that's amazing.
That's a crazy idea.
I love playing around with Arduinos. Like, it's so fun what you can do, and you're only limited by a harebrained idea, basically. Like, there's
and
so
coding
many
skill level a little bit.
I am
get
not
by without it.
I am not that good of a coder. I mean, yeah, I had to study a bit of it, but it's very rudimentary. Like, if you know what a for loop is and you know what an if statement is, it's more about the logic behind it. It's not really about the coding skills.
Dan's glazed over. Sorry.
Yeah, I am not a good coder, and so if you can just follow a couple of tutorials about how to code an Arduino, I fully believe that anyone could do it if they want to. It's really
honestly, that's the reason we recommend Onefinitys. Hey, it's got the biggest community. If you run into an issue, 30 other people had that issue, and 3 of them made a video about it. You're gonna, so with Arduinos, it's the same thing. You're gonna figure it out.
And Arduinos are just so simple that in comparison to something like a Raspberry Pi, which is also fairly simple, or one of the ESP32s, which are popular now, those are a bit more complicated. So, an Arduino could do anything a maker could throw at it, basically. You don't need more speed. You don't need anything. Arduino could handle it. Yeah. So anyway, I'm pumped.
I'm pumped.
I want to see this video.
Project. This sounds amazing.
Yeah. So I've been posting about it in my stories a little bit, but I've been kind of a little bit cryptic about the final results so far. But but on the flip side of it, I've been really enjoying slowing down and just
pun intended.
Yeah, no, I didn't intend that at all. Sorry.
Damn it.
So I've been enjoying slowing down, focusing on actual woodworking skills besides the electronic stuff. The MVP tool of the whole project has been my spoke shave. I have not used my spoke shave that much, and
I love the spoke shave.
You don't hear people say that very often.
Oh,
I
The
man.
love my
MVP
spoke
tool
shave.
is the spoke shave.
I never thought I would ever say that, but man, all the curves on the legs and the aprons were all done with a spoke shave. Like
Really?
Yeah, I mean rough cut on the bandsaw and spoke shave down to a line. Like
One of my
boom.
favorite tools, hands down, because I think straight lines and right angles, but then I'll just take a couple passes of spoke shave, and sometimes the way how deep you go in some spots, you know what? That's the curve now, because I couldn't draw that.
Hundo P. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's awesome. And it's going back to CNC talk too. It's like, I don't own a CNC. I don't own a ShapeRite. The only technology making thing I do own is a 3D printer, which I only just got. So this table has a ton of curves on it, and I don't tend to rely on template routing that much, but there was a few specific places where I needed to template route something on this build. So I actually 3D printed templates, and it kind of works. It's not bad, although
I have done that before.
they're kind of fragile if you don't take them off very gently, because you can snap them pretty easy. I learned that one the hard way.
Uh-oh.
It was a moment.
I'm going to be honest. This project sounds amazing. I can't wait to watch the video.
Yeah.
My mind is just blown simply just hearing about it. So the video should be
I'm stoked.
amazing.
I want to see that.
Usually when it comes to videos, I do a lot more pre-pro. Like I write a script, because most of my videos are talking heads. So I usually write a script. I film my videos with a teleprompter to make the filming process faster. And that's
You said process.
I'm sorry, Dan.
I'm sorry.
Say more stuff like that.
Talk about it. Anyway.
Yeah. Where was I? Oh yeah, but this time I am basically flying by the seat of my pants. I have a rough outline, and I am talking to the camera here and there, but I am dead focused on the build, which I don't normally do. So it's kind of freaking me out about the video right now, but I do plan on voicing it over after. So we're just going to see how it turns out, because I have no idea.
Stay tuned, everybody.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
Dan, what do you got going on this week?
Oh, you want me to talk now? You want me to follow that?
I mean,
I'm not building
we can
a
ask him more
crazy
questions.
robot coffee table, but you know me.
Beep boop bop.
I do have robots, but nothing that works like that. So this week has been really awesome. I've talked in the past about how my Etsy store is slowing down. I don't make money on content. I make money on my Etsy store. So that is the lifeblood of Daniel Dunlap Woodworks currently. It could change a year from now. It might be something different, but currently Etsy's paying the bills, putting food on the table and everything. So I ran a sale for July 4th. That is American Independence Day, Scott. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, that's what that big deal is.
Yeah, it's like your
That's why you heard explosions to the south of you.
second or
Your
whatever.
country's birthday is 4 days after my country's birthday.
Yeah, something like that. I know it's close.
Yeah.
But anyways, I did a July 4th sale for Etsy, and it went absolutely bonkers.
Awesome.
I did 108 sales in 3 days or 4
That's
days.
insane.
And that's probably the best sale I've ever done. If you're new here, by
I got
chance,
six.
I do a lot of zero clearance inserts for different miter saws and saw stops or table saws and whatnot. And one of the things that helped me out a lot was John Cicero.
Oh yeah, he gave you a shout out in his last video.
Yeah, he reached out and he asked me if I made a ZCI for his miter saw, and I was like, yeah, absolutely. He goes, I want to buy one. I'm like, absolutely not. I will send you a couple, and if you would be so kind to give me a little shout out in your video. And he did. He gave me 5 seconds at the very end of his video, and that alone probably gave me 20 to 25 sales just from that. So
right on, man.
Yeah.
That's
huge shout out to John. You are appreciated, my friend. I really appreciate it.
I think you could actually see exactly how many sales came from YouTube or other whatever in
I can.
Etsy.
I mean, I gave him a code so I can see who used
Oh, you
the
can
code.
actually see. Oh, even better.
So, yeah, it's been bonkers over here, and and aside from ZCIs, I actually sold like 3 or 4 more tables. I sold one of my slide tables, which is just a finger joint table that slides into a couch, and then I did 3 of those narrow tables that I've been trying to sell. So that's nice.
Good.
Aside from that, life-wise, we are going to Kansas City tomorrow. We're just going to drive down there with the camper. We're going to stay the weekend at a campground because, like I mentioned last week, my wife and daughter scored tickets to the Taylor Swift concert down there.
You scored the tickets. They got to reap the benefit.
Right. It was all me. Really, it was. However,
You got
because
the
it's such like a big show, there's nowhere to stay down there. There's no hotels available, so we're just gonna haul the camper down there. My son and I are gonna camp. They're gonna go to the show, and that should work out smoothly. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not looking forward to dropping my wife and daughter off in front of that stadium. I think that's gonna be a madhouse. But
Well, just don't be an anti-hero, Daniel.
I hate you so much right now, Scott.
Zing.
Nice.
I've heard so much Taylor Swift music in the last couple weeks. I want to jump off a bridge. Anyway,
What are you talking about? Taylor Swift is the queen.
of I don't know what
our
of
hearts.
something. Anyway, that's been my week. It hasn't been that exciting, but it's been good. So, Pete, what about you?
Hello, I am Peter. My week has been kind of chill. So it was the 4th of July, the Independence Day, the one true Independence Day in the world. And it rained constantly here. Like if anyone's here in the Northeast.
Oh
you know,
yeah,
it's
it
just
rained
been
here too.
on and on. Like
Oh,
it's just
darn.
been constant on and off rain and humidity for the last week. But we scheduled our barbecue for like Sunday loosely for the 2nd, and because it was gonna rain, we kind of like can't people canceled. We're still gonna have it. Ended up being like 8 of us. I made the best ribs I've ever made on a smoker. They're so freaking good.
Ooh.
And we just like hung out with family, and it was great. And I hung out with our neighbors. My neighbor's got like a full bar in his basement, so it's pretty fun. Dan, what do you got? You got something else
That
there?
reminds me,
What'd you
because
do?
of my good sales on Etsy, my wife has said that I can buy a new pellet smoker / grill.
What are you getting?
Traeger.
I don't know yet, but it's
Oh,
gonna be nice.
I got you,
can't
I got
wait.
I'll
I
help you out.
like
Actually,
so I'm a
ask,
Weber.
Jake
I'm a
and Jamie.
Weber guy. I like my Weber kettle and the charcoal and everything. I don't ever use gas, but I'm actually looking forward to using like an electric like pellet
Low
grill.
and slow. Great.
Jason Bent got a new grill he was showing on his Instagram, and man, that thing looks great. And I can't for the life of me remember what it was called, but it looks like a piece of gear.
Well, I don't make Jason Bent money, so it's gonna be from Menards. I'll tell you that much.
No, listen, I was all like wood and charcoal before this, and then I finally broke down. I was like, I don't have the time to sit there by a fire and stoke it to right
I
temperature.
remember
Got
the
pellet
first time
smoker.
our old co-host and I came out to your house. You made us ribs in your old like what is that? Like a drum smoker? Or something.
Yeah, but still good. Right?
Good.
Decent?
That was
Yeah,
good.
Very good. But it was
Very
like a lot of work. We had to keep babysitting it, and if it gets too hot, you got to spray it with water. It's super weird.
Yeah,
It's just like science.
Like a bad cat. Get out. Get.
Yeah, go get. So it's way better. But anyways, pellet smokers are great. Side by side smokers are awesome, but I don't know, who has the time? You know.
Nobody's.
Aside from that, I got something in the mail last week that I haven't gotten to like really play around with, but I want to work on this in the next couple of weeks. Is I got the templates from Jackman Works, Paul Jackman. I don't know why I said that like he's like James Bond. Jackman, Paul Jackman. So I got the Adirondack chair plans. I'm super stoked for because I've been wanting to build chairs for a long time, and then I'm like, why am I going to reinvent the wheel? Like, this has been done 1,000 times before. I just want to make ones of my own. I reached out to Jackman about getting the digital plans because he was running a sale, and he was like, "Oh, I'll send you the actual templates." And he was nice enough. He ended his sale, but he actually gave me a code that we can use, and I'm going to shout it out because if you want to get the Adirondack chair plans, digital plans, or the actual templates, you can still get the discount. And the offer code is, and I'm not kidding, it's Shop Sounds.
Son of a this guy.
He said it, and I was like, I'm
He's
not
really
even mad.
treating
I
you
would
right.
expect nothing else from you. It is Shop Sounds, which don't Google that. It's not a thing.
No one knows. What
You don't
that
want to
is.
look it up. But yeah, offer code is Shop Sounds. So if you want to get some Jackman
I love hate him so much.
I love hate him so much. I'm actually gonna see him in about a month. We're going up to Maine, and we're gonna stop by his place in Boston, and then go up the whole coast. We actually might be hanging out with some Total Boat people. That's gonna be exciting. Ooh. So we're in the planning stages of that. That's exciting. We're doing our yearly sailing trip where we pretend like we're rich. It's super fun to pretend. But yeah, aside from that, just been working a lot with Emma. We've had some really nice brand deals come through, and we're trying to work those out. It's more of like item for content, not so much the the money type yet, but still good stuff. And most of it was yielded. Wet. But here's the thing: most of this stuff was yielded from Emma being involved and handling the reaching out and responding and staying on top of it. So huge shout out to her for all that. Aside from that, the biggest thing for the shop, and I forget if we talked about this in the pre-show or no, earlier in Scotty's who the heck do you think you are? My shop is done. My shop layout.
I still don't believe this.
Forever.
Because the mini, no, not forever, but this mini split is in. It is hooked up. It is running. It is so cool in the shop when I run that thing. It cools the shop down 10 degrees in like 20 minutes. It's awesome.
And they're quiet.
So quiet. Like, I could not believe how quiet this is.
Me too. And it makes, I thought I was going to have to turn it off for filming, but I don't. It's that quiet.
Really?
It's quieter than my ceiling fan, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm actually like absolutely blown away. And I can't even wait to test this out in the winter. Because this is going to it's a 24,000 BTU unit, so it's a big unit, size just a hair over what I need for my shop.
How big is your shop?
It's 460 square feet. The 24,000 is 600 and up. The reason I upsized it is because it's a garage, so it's not as well insulated as everything else. I figured let's go up a little higher, taller ceilings, and I'm glad I did, because even though my shop is insulated, it's still like that one door that's not, even when it's closed, that side of the shop literally radiates heat because the sun's beaming right at that door. Mm-hmm. So, and again, I'm not done like getting tools and stuff for my shop, but the thing is, that was the final piece of the puzzle. I've been building a shop for actually, in about a couple minutes, it is going to be exactly 2 years that we've lived in this place. And because on the 7th we moved in, and like the shop is really done. This is my dream shop. I've been building it out, getting everything set up. I got the miter station, lev rack, the islands, the CNC laser, and all the tools that I need. Every upgrade from here on is just an upgrade on a tool I already have. Yeah. I don't see a tool that I'm like, oh, I like really need that. I don't have one. Like, I have most of the tools, or pretty much all the tools I need. It's all just going to be upgrades now. So
right now you're saying you're content with everything.
Yeah. Now, granted, that being said, we're actively trying to figure out and working out the plan for breaking ground on the pole barn. so
anyways,
but that's within the next
your shop is done,
years or so.
But you're going to build a new one.
This shop is done. So legally, I'm correct. Technically, I'm correct. Just
I didn't know we're out of contract here.
Yeah. You can't sue me for saying wrong things later.
Oh, yes, I can. You can't stop me.
But the thing is, like, really, my shop, like, having a climate controlled shop is really like, I don't care what tools you have, whatever, but like, if you can be out there comfortably any time of the year, it is an absolute just bonkers game changer.
I had no idea how much I would enjoy the mini split.
You guys are talking me into this thing.
It's just absolute. It's my favorite thing in the shop. Out of all my tools and everything, the mini split is just friggin' amazing. And when I moved into my shop, I insulated the whole place. So the insulation is really good, except for the garage door, which I'm still kind of half thinking. I was thinking about adding some insulation. I'll get around to it in a couple of years, maybe. But yes, I only got a 9,000 BTU unit. I installed it all myself. It took me a day to install. Like, it really is not a big deal to install one of these yourself. You don't have to be a rocket
120 or 240?
240.
240, okay.
So here's my problem. It's not that I don't want one. It's not that I don't have the need for one. It's that I love my dog. Yeah. And he comes out in the shop with me, and I leave the doors open, the garage doors open all the time. So it would make no sense to have a mini split when I got the doors open constantly.
Yeah, I like totally
I get that.
see your point. And for me, I don't need the AC as much, although the past few days.
Although the heater.
Yeah, the heat is great. It's
I am excited to try that out.
I haven't noticed my electricity bill go up at all since I installed it. And I don't
apparently
turn it
the
off.
heating is significantly more energy. But whatever. Either way.
But I installed it in like the end of February, and my March bill, the temperature hadn't changed in March, and like I didn't notice the bill go up.
Oh, did you actually run the heat already?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you have. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
I do have a small shop, and it's fairly well
He
insulated.
lives in
like I said.
Canada. He runs the heat all the time.
I'm more south than you, apparently.
It could be accurate.
Yes. And you have the Pioneer unit as well, right?
Senville, but man, they're probably all from the same factory. Like,
Oh, okay, I got it. Yeah.
But if anyone's thinking about doing it, but they don't know if they have the skills to install it, if you've like changed the oil in your car or like done anything like just done some basic at-home wiring, you definitely have the skills to install it. Just read the manual, read it twice, read it 3 times. You have to read the manual to understand how to install it, because there's a lot of steps. But
I feel like I'm being attacked right now. Okay.
This is not a manual you want to throw away.
No, I don't know how to read.
It's one you got to follow. See, that's all right. So the one thing I ran into that wasn't really a major issue, but it was something that gave me more trouble than I was expecting, was evacuating the lines, because this is not a pre-charged line unit, which means the lines are empty. The unit is pre-charged in the actual condenser where you release the freon and stuff, but you need to make sure you have a hard seal. So you have to have someone vacuum out the lines, and then when they turn off basically all you do is you hook it up to the system. They drop it says 30 inches per pound, whatever
inches of mercury.
It's like a setting. Yeah, thank you. It just it drops your vacuum, meaning like negative pressure, and if you turn off the machine, the vacuum, and it stays at that, you're good. You have a vacuum. You don't have any leaks. We kept getting leaks. And it turned out that one of the connections to the actual condenser, even though it was cranked, it could have been cranked like an extra like half a turn. The second we did that, the pressure like dropped to the final like the max, and it stayed. And we're like, oh wow, that actually made a difference, because it's like a flare of copper that needs to be form fitted to the fitting, and that's how you seal it.
It helps to wiggle it as you tighten it.
Really?
I found that when you wiggle the line a little bit and keep tightening it, you can kind of feel it find its position.
Like kind of form itself.
Because it's kind of a taper.
Here's the issue that I ran into, and huge shout out to AJ from Crafted in NJ, one of my good buddies, longest friends here from the community locally. He's an HVAC guy for tractor trailers, so mini splits for trucks, basically. He was the only, I called him like, hey, wait, can you do this? And he's like, yeah, no problem. I'm like, I'd rather pay you than someone else. I was ready to buy the unit and whatever, the vacuum pump, because I called multiple places. And if I didn't get a straight up, like, no, we didn't install that, we're not touching it, to like, just like semi-rude responses, and other ones where I'm still waiting for the call back to come out to get a quote from a place that like hasn't called me. It's been over a week.
Oh yeah.
So like I basically got the FU from a bunch of, and most of them were just straight up like, well, whoever installed it should be able to do that for you. I was like, well, I installed it because I know what I'm doing, and I have an electrician here running of the stuff, and we just don't have a vacuum pump. I'm sorry if I've offended you for calling. Like all of them, like I was like inconveniencing these people. I'm like, is this the state of the service industry?
Well, I would say from their point of view, it is unfortunately an inconvenience, because it's such a small job. It's not worth the gas for them to drive out to your place.
Like I'm willing to pay. I mean, I know service calls usually 150 or $100 or 200 depending on who you're talking with. So like, I know what I'm asking, and I'm gonna pay you for the hour or whatever to come out to just talk to me and whatever. Like I'm willing to pay. I just want to get this hooked up. Like these guys were just not about it. I'm like, all right, you know what? Thanks again. If they call me at some point, I'll be like, you guys. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I just felt like I was inconvenienced.
No, you screwed up, and I have 100,000 followers on Instagram, and I'm gonna.
Do you know who the F I am? Do you know who the F I am?
I went through a similar thing when I did my workshop rent out. I didn't want to renovate my workshop at all. I wanted to pay someone to come put up the studs and the strapping and insulation, the drywall and the mud. I wanted someone else to do it because I didn't have the time. And I got 2 contractors in for 2 different quotes, and they both gave me some astronomical price that I was like, no friggin' way. Because to them, it was too small of a job. They want to do a whole condominium building rather than
you were getting what we lovingly call around here the FU price.
100%. Yeah. So I had to like succumb and do the reno myself, which I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well,
the FU stands for you, like FYP for you page. It's the for you price. For you, my friend, is $10,000.
No, my lowest quote was $16,000.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I mean, tradespeople in Toronto are so in demand. Like, they probably
really. Oh my god! I've seen your shop. Well, I haven't seen it in person, but like,
yeah,
shop's not that big.
Oh, it's a small single car garage. It's like not a big.
It's a 3/4 car garage. Let's be real.
Yeah, you could squeeze a car in there if there was no like garden tools.
You want to stay in a car forever.
Yeah, basically. it's still tiny, but yeah. I mean, I ended up spending I don't know $6,000 in materials and including the mini split, and I did it myself.
Attaboy.
Yeah.
Damn. All right. Well, let's. Sorry, that was a long what's on a bench.
But, oh yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah. Let's get into questions, and I got good feedback on playing this one for the questions.
Oh, Black Betty, Ram Lamb.
We used to play that for reviews, but you know what? It just feels right for questions.
Black Betty gone wild.
So why don't we start with Yoseph? Second time, long time.
Hey guys, this is Yoseph calling again. You guys might remember me as the guy who shamelessly plugged himself last week into the question. So this week, my question is for Scott. Scott, the first time I saw your channel, my first impression was, hey, this is a fellow Canadian who somehow managed to fit industrial-sized machinery into his World War II bunker-sized basement shop, which is really impressive. So I have 2 questions for you. The first question is, how do you prioritize which tool to buy, given your space limitation, and also you need space for the project on top of space for the tools? And then number 2 is, what is your recommendation or experience on hauling used tools from the cellar all the way to your basement shop? Because it's really impressive. I just want to know how you did it. Thank you.
Great question. Scotty, this is for you. How dare you have a 16-inch?
Before you answer, I have a question though.
A pre-question question.
Is there a difference between a World War II bunker and a World War I bunker?
Yeah, I guess it can withstand nukes.
Yeah, the second one has to be nuke proof. First one just needed to keep out people that
fair.
Have a gun.
All right, this got dark. All right, continue.
It's got dark, historically accurate.
So you need to start with a bayonet. No, I'm just kidding.
So how do you prioritize?
Yeah,
which tools to buy?
It's a tough question, and unfortunately I don't think there's a real right answer to this one. But I like the simple, my dumb answer is just like, what are you lacking in your shop? Now, it's really about what you build, but in general, in terms of woodworking, there's kind of like the 5 cornerstones of the woodworking shop, which is going to be A, your table saw, B, your planer, C, your joiner, D, your bandsaw, and maybe a drill press. And I guess a router table is kind of in there too. But like, I would still say start with the table saw. It's gonna get you the most bang for your buck. You can do a lot of things on it. The bandsaw for me is a kind of an asterisk because some people don't use a bandsaw at all, and then some people use a bandsaw a lot. And I am a person who uses a bandsaw a lot. And I think it's particular for people maybe who use a lot more hand tools or who are doing a lot maybe of pattern routing or something like that. But yeah, it really depends on your project, and it's just really, you just have to ask yourself, what are you missing, and what's going to fill the void. And yeah, once you're past the 5 main machines, it's just the all the hand tool, power tool sort of thing. Like, I don't know. I don't really have a good answer for this question. Does anyone else?
Well, I kind of have a follow up because, like, you know, if you're really looking at it as like, all right, I don't have a lot of space, and like I need these core tools.
Yeah.
Because we all have these core tools. Which, by the way, I mean, to be fully transparent, Dan and I, for the longest time, were like, joiners, those are for cowards.
Oh no.
You know, like, and then we got them, and we're like, how do we ever do this before? But like it and I mean this in the nicest way, but it really appears like you chose wrong to go with a 16-inch planer and that giant tugboat of a joiner you got. Like,
what do you mean? What's wrong with that?
For a tiny shop, like, did you really need it for the small shop? Like,
no.
Prioritizing your space.
I mean,
and I mean that with every, like, in the nicest way. Like, why was that your choice? Was it just like, you know, if I'm gonna get it, might as well get the best?
And to add on to Pete's question, I want to know, how long did it take you to figure out the placement of everything? Did you like map it out on SketchUp? Like, how many iterations on paper? I know you put it all down on paper. Come on.
No, SketchUp, 100% SketchUp. The great thing about SketchUp is that you can go into the 3D warehouse and you can just download most common machines. Like, you can get a 15-inch planer and a 12-inch jointer. And if you can't find it exactly, you can kind of just like modify it to the size of your machine. You can find a saw stop on there. You can find anything on the SketchUp warehouse, and you can just, you know, draw a rectangle that's the size of your room and place the machines in there.
And then you just kind of move it around and figure out what kind of quote unquote works best for you.
Exactly. And the level up to that is that if you design your shop projects in SketchUp, you just import them in the model and place your designed workbench in there and your cabinets in there, which is what I've done too. So like, I'm very pro SketchUp in terms of basically everything. I just love seeing things in 3D space. But in terms of any rational reason why I got a 16-inch joiner and a 16-inch planer and a 12-inch jointer in that tiny shop, my old one, there's no rational reason. I just saw it and I was like, that's a good deal. I gotta go get it.
I think we all can relate to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, 16-inch planer, $800. Yeah.
That's how I got a mortising machine. I was like,
listen, I'm probably the first person to say that, like, yeah, sometimes you buy the tool that's oversized, but like that's the last one I have to buy ever.
Yeah.
You know, so I totally get it.
I mean, so my last shop was always a temporary shop. I was never going to stay there for a long time because I knew it just wasn't going to work out. There wasn't enough space. So I bought machines for the shop I didn't have. So yeah, it wasn't a great idea. And like Yoseph said in his question, like, you know, where do you put your projects as you're building them? Well, the problem was I didn't have space to put my projects. I was building them in that old shop. I found ways around it. I would use an adjacent cellar room in the basement of where my shop was to kind of put parts as I was. And there were other tools like that I would, like my air compressor was in another room in a closet that I would just drag a hose from. So I always had kind of workarounds for these sort of things. But realistically, no, it wasn't a good idea. I probably should have had a 6-inch joiner and a 12-inch planer in that shop, which I started with. I had a 6-inch Delta, which was a wonderful machine, and a Makita 12-inch planer, which was also a wonderful machine. And the rational Scott should have just stayed with those machines until I moved out. But, you know, I'm not rational. I never claimed to be.
When you see a good deal, you got to take it.
Oh, man. I used to be addicted to Kijiji. Like I had the great thing about Kijiji was that you could
Craigslist
have
for Americans.
Yeah, Craigslist for Americans. But I don't know if Craigslist had this feature where you can save searches. And so what you would do is it's kind of like an RSS feed, if you know what one of those is.
You could, yeah. I get like emails from Craigslist still. Like,
yeah,
I used there was a service called If This Then That. I would use that.
Oh, you know how to code.
Yeah.
So
anyway, he doesn't know it's coding though.
I know. So yeah, I used to get notifications for like planer, and I would just like look every day and like, oh, that's a good deal, and I would contact them. And so like I was kind of addicted to that, and I have since stopped.
Can relate.
But yeah. So anyway, so that was a long-winded answer for the part 1. I think the part 2 was how do I transport these machines?
I'd recommend hauling it from the person to your tiny shop. you kind of touched up on this in a pre-show of the actual like delivery or install part of it.
You just ask your friends.
No, well, not just your friends, but like sometimes it's rent a machine.
Yeah. So like that shop was in a basement, and I had a flight of 7 stairs, and I was stupid enough to bring like a 500-pound table saw, a 700-pound joiner, a 500-pound planer down those flight of stairs.
Oh.
And because I got those machines sort of individually, that I would just kind of bring a couple of friends over, and we would kind of step by step lift it down in the basement. And we're all tired and sweaty.
My back hurts just listening to this.
Yeah, just listening.
It was horrible, but I never injured myself. No one got injured, thank God. It really was stupid. When I moved out recently, I discovered this thing, which I think I discovered scrolling on Instagram or Facebook. It was on a Facebook group, and someone had done that. They had rented a power stair lift dolly, and I was like, oh my God, that is exactly what I need. It looks like a regular hand truck dolly, but it's bigger. It turns out a lot bigger. The whole dolly, you need 2 people just to move it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But it's still safer, even though you need an extra set of hands. But yeah, it has this sort of mechanism that just climbs up a set of staircase, and is rated for like 700 to 1,000 pounds. So I was able to lift up the joiner, no problem, up the staircase and everything in a day, which was just a miracle when I moved.
I had no idea that was a thing.
Oh, it's amazing.
Today I learned.
If you ever need to lift something heavy, I think people often use them for gun safes.
Of course.
Not that I know anything about that. But...
You'd think as an American I'd know that.
Yeah, so people use them for gun safes a lot, but they're great for machines.
I just leave them out. They just like sit around.
Just leave them on your on your flip top coffee table.
Yeah,
just out.
Yeah. There's gonna be a hidden container underneath there that will just flip out. Yeah.
It reloads it when you flip it.
Just give me 5 seconds here.
I mean, on that same note, like ever since I saw Spags Wood Whisper, he got that like it's basically like an engine hoist, but it's a little beefier than that.
Yeah. And
it can actually elevate. It like has like 3 tiers. It could go up higher, and it's all mechanical. It's not like it's like electrical.
It's like a winched.
It's a winch system, and like you crank it, or there's a chain you pull or something like that. But it can hold a substantial amount of weight. And ever since I saw that, I was like, wait, how much did these things cost? Like an engine hoist or some kind of combination of this or something in between. They're only, and I'm saying only like loosely, they're only about $500 to $700.
Yeah.
Like a beefy one, like a really beefy one, not a Harbor Freight Boy that you can get for $300. Like if you really want to get something beefy, because the thing is, if you ever want to move your table saw, you're gonna have a bad time. If you have like a full size,
if you're
like
trying
cabinet,
to do it alone,
cast iron, it's a bad time. But you know what? $500 and the thing tucks away nice and tight. And if you have the space in your shop, put it in a corner. And if you get a new tool or whatever, you can load it up into your truck even or whatever. It's worth the investment. And it's something that I've already considered. You could, yes, if your Subaru was a Baja, the manliest of cars.
Oh yeah,
it also has a truck bed on it.
Oh yeah,
yeah, exactly. But like if when we have our like whatever next shop we have, unless I have a tractor of some kind that can move machinery around with pitchforks on the front or whatever forks,
that'd be sweet.
I'm gonna probably invest in one of those engine hoists or lifts or something with beefier tires so I can get it all the way back to the new shop. But
I mean, if your new shop is a pole barn, you kind of need a tractor, you know.
That goes without saying.
Tractor first, then pole barn. Yeah. Tractor so I can assist with making the barn, even though I'll probably pay some Amish guys to do it.
Yeah.
But I need a tractor next to it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So here's the other facet of hauling machines. So I don't own a truck. I used to own a truck, but I got
Home Depot truck rental.
Yeah. So I have done U-Hauls and truck rentals for hauling machines. Here's a couple of recommendations. One, if you're doing a lot of machines, yeah, right there. If you're doing a lot of machines at once, like you're moving your whole shop, rent a truck with a friggin' lift gate. It will change your life.
Yes.
So like when I moved my shop, the combination of that stair lift dolly and a van with a lift gate, it just made everything so awesome. You could even do that for one machine, but the vans with lift gates tend to be like a 26-foot box truck, and they're not cheap. It's going to be
up in Canada. Is that U-Haul or is that like Kijiji Haul or something?
A-Haul.
We have U-Haul. And the funny thing about U-Haul is that the plates on all U-Hauls are still like Arizona registered. So I don't know what that's about.
I've never gotten a U-Haul with plates from my state.
No,
they're always from like a half a continent
Arizona.
away.
It's a tax thing.
Yeah. So the other thing is that I have a regular sedan, like a Honda Accord, basically. And I have a trailer for it, which is kind of ridiculous, but I'm just one of those guys who goes around with a trailer
for my Subaru, like a man.
Yeah. So I have a flat I have a flatbed 4x8 trailer that I think you can buy at Harbor Freight, the same model. I didn't get it from Harbor Freight because we don't have that here, but it has like a tilt deck to it too. And yeah, it's this crazy thing that I'm pretty sure only costs like $500 at Harbor Freight. And you could tilt it. You could fold the whole thing up. Like I keep it stored folded up.
Put it in your pocket.
In the driveway. Yeah, basically. Yeah. Just whenever I need it, whip it out.
The world's lamest transformer.
Oh yeah. Takes like 10
flatbed trailer.
As silly as it sounds, it is really handy because A, I could throw a sheet of plywood on it and it fits perfectly. I don't have to cut it up or anything. But B, it's great for hauling machines because the deck tilts on it, and I just throw a little hand crank winch on the end of it, and I just skid a machine up the trailer. And I've hauled probably 1,000 pounds with it with my car, and it's fine. Like it's not a big deal.
Honda Accord coming in clutch.
Yeah,
coming in clutch.
If it kind of speaks to you, then look into those folding trailers for a car. Like you don't need a truck to be a home hobbyist woodworker. I
fully endorse trailers. I'm in trailer.
Watch your mouth.
Look, I totally want a truck, and I had a truck, but I'll be honest, it's not 100% necessary unless you are going through material really fast.
Listen, not everyone needs a trail
my wife
boss.
doesn't listen to
Some
this.
of us are a trailer boss.
Dan, you're not a home hobbyist woodworker. You are a business owner.
That's right.
Exactly.
I'm a professional
Daniel Dunlap,
woodworker.
You are
business owner.
Professional trail boss owner and keeper.
Absolutely.
It's like the worst business card ever.
But I'm gonna make one.
Yep.
Speaking of professional trail something
bosses.
owners, Justin from Campfire.
Hey guys, Justin here from Campfire Woodworks. First, I wanted to thank you guys for replying to my application to become a third host. I really appreciate the constructive feedback. I'm just a little unclear as to why it was all in capital letters and accompanied by a restraining order, but oh well, maybe it's just better if I follow up in person. Anyway, my question. I had an issue recently with a potential client that reached out to me. We exchanged a bunch of emails back and forth, and the deeper we got into narrowing down exactly what he wanted out of the final project, the more I realized that he was never going to be happy with whatever I ended up delivering. So I ended up writing him back and just cutting ties completely with an email that was something like, I think the demands of this project are going to be outside of my scope, yada, yada, yada. It's probably best that the work go to a maker who can better bring your vision to reality or something like that. And so I just kind of ghosted the rest of his emails after that because I thought it was best if we didn't communicate anymore. So I wanted to know, what are some of the red flags that have made you turn away work in the past? And what are some of the top things that set off your spidey senses for problematic clients? So thanks. I'll see you guys soon.
Oh, Justin. What a beautiful question. First of all, the way you handle that situation, I think it's the one you told me about in person too.
Yes.
Beautifully handled. Yeah, that's the way you do it. It's like, I don't think we're the right fit for each other. As far as what the red flags are, you literally listed them. It's when a customer, we always say like, oh, we're so nitpicky. Like I see that flaw, but the customer never will. If the customer sees flaws you don't see, that's a red flag. Or if the customer is like, I just want to make sure my $150 woodworking project, that I'm getting my money's worth. That's not the customer you want. That customer is going to find something wrong with it and find that their $150 didn't go far enough. You want the customer, and we said this before, is when you send them an invoice, they just reply with paid. And that's it. And like they trust in your work and they've seen your work and they just want it delivered. And obviously if something's wrong, we're all kind enough to deal with it. But that's the red flag, is if they're too nitpicky out of the gate. I have cut people off real quick with that. It's like, you know what? I don't like taking on commissions already. And this is not going to happen. So when they're like, yeah, but can you get it like, and it would like calipers, can you get it like this tight or whatever? I run into this with like laser work or CNC work sometimes. And they're like, it doesn't fit quite perfect. I'm like, I don't want to work with you anymore. I'm sorry. Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it right on the head. I mean, I've had clients that in the beginning, they were all like, we love your work, we 100% trust you, yada yada, and it all sounded great. But as I started to do work for them, and it was multiple pieces, and I won't say what pieces, but they started micromanaging everything. And that was when I was like, okay, I think we're done working with each other. I can't deal with this anymore. I'm not going to allow you to micromanage everything I do. That not only is that just outright annoying, but it's slowing up the process. And it's taken all of the joy out of what I do. I don't work for myself just to get bossed around and micromanaged by clients. That's not why I do this. I do it because I like working for myself and I like making my own decisions and stuff. So, Justin, I think you understand the red flags. It's just, it comes to a point where like, if you start feeling uncomfortable with the project, or you're uncomfortable with the amount of like advice they're giving you, quote unquote, I'm doing air quotes on a podcast. It comes with time. You just know when to start cutting it off. And for me, it was all the micromanaging.
Yeah.
Scott, you don't currently do client work, but you have mentioned in the past that you did client work in other shops.
So I used to work at a custom frame shop, and I did have to deal with basically all of the customers that came through. But honestly, you guys basically said everything I was going to say. I think the number one thing is if you establish the budget right away, just a ballpark number, like that can weed out people pretty quick.
Yes,
and like,
absolutely.
Don't be afraid to go high, because like the price always snowballs with all the different asks that people want and stuff like that. So just like if someone is interested in your work and they contact you, say, hey, I'm interested in a dining table from you, just even if they don't ask, just ask, what do you want to pay? What is your budget? Because if it's anything less than like $5,000 or whatever your minimum threshold for a dining room table is, like just say, I'm sorry, this is just, we're on different fields here. We're like, it's, the budget is one thing that is non-negotiable. And if you take lower paid work for something just to get a client, you're going to hate the process that much more as you're doing it. And you're going to hate your client more as you do it. So just be careful about budgets and setting expectations really early on.
And that also weeds out a lot of the back and forth in the beginning. I mean,
100%.
If you're going back and forth before you even talk about the budget, I mean, just think about all the time you've wasted right
100%,
there.
100%. Like it's crazy that like in the beginning when I started working there, I would sort of forget that what my manager had taught me, and I would get so far down the line of a custom order, and they would like completely flip shit at the price in the end. And just like walk away, and like that was an hour gone, and that wasn't acceptable.
And they're like, "Oh, I can go to Canadian Tire and get that for $200."
Exactly. It's just crazy.
Then do that, please.
And the only other thing I would say too is that like, I don't know, just like you said, nip it in the bud. As soon as you start getting those warning signs, try and end it early, because if you start getting complacent with the way customers are treating you, you're going to normalize it for yourself, and you're going to go through your whole career and your whole business with customers treating you in the same way. So just don't allow people to walk over you and think that that's normal.
Man, I got to tell you, as a business owner, one of the things that irks me the most is that old saying, the customer is always right.
Oh, no.
Absolutely not.
That couldn't be any farther from
the customer's an a-hole.
Your job as a salesperson is to educate the customer. That means that the customer is not right in and of itself. You know what I mean? Your job is to educate the customer to figure out.
And they're coming to
need.
you, the professional craftsman, to make this.
Yeah, 100%. Like maybe that saying goes for like friggin' Walmart or something, but definitely not if you're an artisan or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Any specialized skill, really.
Yeah, 100%. You're the smartest person in the room, and don't let the customer forget that. But just don't be an asshole about it. Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. You have to be a little rude. I've definitely lost.
You got to be
since
firm.
I've stopped taking commissions.
Firm.
I've definitely lost more business than I've earned. But all the business that I've lost, I did not want in the first place.
I'm even firm with people on Etsy sometimes. Like,
yeah,
you just can't let people roll over you. Like that. You just can't.
I don't even respond to people on Etsy anymore. I don't sell physical product. I sell digital product, but still, like, I just can't be bothered. Just like, if you don't like
Scotty.
I don't care. It's feet pics.
Yeah. Great question, Justin, and good answers, guys. Great questions all.
I've been
great
working
answers
on it.
all around. Yeah. Next one is in French.
Yeah. Oui.
Oui. Will it play?
French.
Hey guys.
I love Boston.
So apparently the theme for tonight podcast is small shop, and luckily I have something like a car and a quater garage as a shop, or maybe a car and a motorcycle. Anyway, it's small. And I have a bunch of tools. Everything is on wheel, including a big lathe, a planer, and a table saw, and also my workbench. And the workbench is quite long. It's like 160 centimeter by 60 centimeter. And lately I have been pondering if I should cut it in half and then glue it back together on the long side and stick my table saw to it, so it can also be an outfit table. I know that most woodworker wants an outfit table, but it will also mean I'll have a huge block to move around, while right now it's only two smaller modules. What do you think? Bigger block with a table saw, or just keep it apart? Also, Pete, where is your new YouTube video? I asked just in case Kimani forgot to do so. Alright, bye guys.
Oh,
Can somebody do the math for me on the?
Yeah, the math.
Yeah.
100
on my calculator.
Centimeters in inches is exactly 62.9999999. Nice.
So not 63. Got it.
It's 63. Yeah. So it's about 63 inches by about
24.
About 24 inches. So yeah, basically what he's asking is he's got a very long 2 foot by roughly 5 foot-ish assembly table, workbench, whatever you want to call it, and he's trying to figure out if he should cut it in half and glue it along the long side to have a big wide island, basically. So then have like a 30 something inch by inch table, and then attach his table saw to that. But he would have to move around that large chunk, or if he should have two small pieces, two half benches to move around, and essentially just put his table saw on one of them. I honestly, for a small shop, I'm going to recommend that you keep them separate. If your floor is level enough, you can actually use it as a continuous outfeed if you ever need it for a longer piece. If you ever need help on the infeed, you can move it around and use it almost like a roller for longer pieces into a machine. And one of the best things I did that I'll highly recommend to you, Thomas, is I made sure that almost all the tops in my shop are exactly the same height. So if I'm ever running a giant sheet through my table saw or something, the workbench next to it can almost act as a wing to support it. So having the same height pieces or tables all the way around really helps. I say keep it separate and just slap your table saw or make a cart that's the exact same height to outfeed onto one of those workbenches. Scotty?
You gotta keep it separated. Actually, no. I will politely disagree with you.
You don't have to be polite. That's fine.
Okay, Pete, I disagree with you. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
I
We can't be
know.
friends anymore.
I 100% see your point, Pete. But let me pose this question to you: what is your most used tool in your shop?
Me.
Okay,
accurate.
What's next?
After that, well, I want to say table saw, but table saw, bandsaw, like 50-50. But table saw.
Maybe this is a cheat answer, but I think your most used tool is your workbench.
Well, okay, so I wasn't gonna answer. I was going with tools, but my most used tool in my shop is my Husky adjustable height workbench thing.
Yeah,
I stand in front of that. Not sponsored, but like I love that thing.
So like
my favorite.
I suppose this is the way I work, but I find it hard to imagine that splitting my bench into two pieces is gonna make me happier while using the workbench as a workbench. Yeah, maybe it'll work better for your table saw outfeed. Yeah, maybe it'll work better to scoot things around in your shop, but I'm under the opinion that your bench should be solid, stable, and kind of immovable. And that's not just if you like use hand tools or whatever. I just think you need a really big, solid work surface. So by splitting your bench up, it's going to make them less solid. It's going to make them probably not line up exactly with the height of the tabletop. I'm not talking about a big gap, but maybe a little gap that might cause a glue up to go a bit astray if there's a bit of a discrepancy in the top. So if it were me, I would prioritize keeping your workbench big and solid, even though you have a small shop, because at the end of the day, your workbench is the tool that you use the most, more so than your table saw or anything else in your shop. So I would keep it solid.
I see your point, and it almost makes me want to not give my answer, but it's such a great answer, so I'm still going to give it.
Give it.
I agree with what Scott's saying. You do want a hefty, immovable workbench. I think that's kind of a key for a workbench, is for it to be immovable and be really solid. But since you have such a small shop and you kind of are leaning towards cutting it in half and you want to flip it around, why not do this? When you cut it in half, put magnets, really strong magnets around the outside of the workbench, so it becomes like a modular piece. And if it's on wheels, you can flip it around and it kind of clicks to, the long edge, or you can put it back to the short.
I really love this idea, but I don't want to give Dan credit.
Like a mag switch workbench. I think I can't claim that I saw that idea. I think I saw I Like to Make Stuff. Bob Claggett did that. He made like a modular workbench, and he did something very similar to that. And I think that would be a great solution for you, Thomas. But I do agree with Scott. I think a workbench should be really stout and immovable and sturdy.
Yeah.
So if you could combine the two somehow, maybe after you cut the bench in half, make one of them at least super stout, beef up the legs, beef up something. And I don't know.
I actually, if I may, I have a second answer, because we didn't really explore this option. And that is, scrap this bench and build new benches. Build something solid and a little more permanent, something that you're going to be happy with.
If that's in the cards, sure.
In the space, like build a little. If you have a small table saw, I think he's got more of like the contractor table saw. Build a little table around that, or even a rolling bench or something. I had a rolling table with an outfeed and whatnot, and like do that, and then have like maybe use this bench, just throw it up against the wall as like a more bolted to the wall or whatever, make it a more immovable hand tool bench or something. But like, maybe you rethink the whole section in the center.
Those contractor table saws, typically you can take the table saw like body off the legs, and you can incorporate that into like a bench, where your bench kind of goes around. I've seen dudes do that.
I had a 4x6 table where I had the DeWalt contractor saw sat in the center on one end. Mm-hmm. So I had basically a 5.5 foot outfeed.
Yeah, table. Basically
that. And on the one side,
I
would like take out a section, and my miter saw would pop in there, and it was the perfect height. So I had an infeed and outfeed on both sides. was a thing I found on SketchUp years back.
Or you could build the small shop workbench plans that you could buy on scottwalsh.co.
There you go.
There's
the best answer right there.
Didn't say it.
No, it's fine. You can say it.
That's
Say it. Not sponsored. But...
one way of doing it.
No, that's a good answer. Good answer.
Scott, if somebody want to buy one of your plans, where can they find you?
So I have a crappy Etsy store that I don't pay attention to, but that is where my sales are going.
And if you
through.
send him a question, he clearly won't answer it. So
no, not at all. It's best to email me. But I am launching a website. Technically, it's kind of already launched. It's www.scottwalsh.co, and live on the website are my small few plans that I have for sale. And there's going to be STLs in the future for 3D prints. So yeah, lots of cool stuff coming to the website. I'm really, really proud of it. My wonderful girlfriend Rachel is kind of helping me in the background when she has free time to make me the website of my own dreams. So
wow,
yeah,
such plans. Much wow.
Yeah, I'm stoked. My website is dope. It's going to be sick. I'm going to eventually do courses, and it'll be all hosted on my website through a little paywall. You'll register for an account on my site, and you can access a live video stream for some woodworking courses. So that's coming later this year, maybe early next year.
Good site. I like the site. Nice work.
Yeah, so it's not done yet.
Nice work, not you, Scotty.
Yeah.
Your girlfriend.
I'll tell Rachel.
Yeah. Sweet. All right. Last question is from Lars. Here it is.
Hey guys, it's Lars calling in, and I was listening to your episode there, I believe on Sunday or so, and afterwards I got a recommendation from Spotify about the new Cranky Workshop podcast, and I was just listening along. Didn't even know it was on a different podcast. Thought maybe it was a bonus episode or something, because they were just two cranky old men yelling about everything, including the owner of a certain hard wax oil company. Yeah, so that I just wanted to harass you guys about that. Wondered about your opinions on actually, if you did listen, what they talked about. So, thanks.
Sure, that wasn't just our podcast. Is someone
I've
playing our reruns as their own podcast?
I've never heard of this podcast, and it'll probably be a cold day in hell before I do listen to it. That's my opinion.
Strong words. No,
too.
I've heard of this podcast before. Do you
You
guys
have?
Yeah.
This is the first I'm hearing of it.
I think they only have 1 or 2 episodes, but I think one of the guys is in John Cesaro's Facebook group. The other one, I just seen his videos around. So yeah, they're doing something. I didn't really listen, to be honest with you, but they New Cranky Workshop kind of sums it up. If
New Cranky Workshop, is that what's
I like the name. I'm not gonna lie, it's a take on the New Yankee Workshop. I like the name.
As far as I remember, maybe I'm misremembering this, but they do like to kind of push buttons, push against people from the sort of the influencers of the woodworking world.
So, shocker.
I never in my snapback wearing garage shop having
if you don't like me or people like me, then maybe that's your podcast.
There you go.
How dare you be in a garage?
And this will be the last time we ever mention that podcast on this podcast. So
yikes.
Speaking of the perfect way to mention things, I'm going to mention Malcolm now because he wrote in, and Malcolm's kind of our winner for the intro contest, if there was a contest even, I don't know, but Malcolm called in. He gave us a couple variations of script that we gave him. He did a great job. You probably heard it in the intro this week, and we're going to change them up. And the best part about what Malcolm did is not only did he do the intros we asked, and he just kind of did some variations of his own, he offered to do new ones as new AWP memes come up, new running jokes that we have come up. He might do some new ones. He also did some outros that you may hear as we get out of the show later in the recording. So here's this question from Malcolm.
Hey guys, it's Malcolm from Boston Nova Woodworks, and I just want to say shout out to Scott. I really enjoy your content. I've watched you evolve on YouTube over the past year or two, and I really appreciate everything that you do. And then Pete, thanks for choosing me for your voiceover intro stuff. I have worked with Pete to create a template and would like to make sure that the listeners are also able to add to that template if you want to. So the format is basically you're listening to another Woodshop podcast, then insert some kind of joke, and then your host, blah, 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 blah. You'll hopefully hear it. I've attached some samples to this email, and I've also included a couple of outros that are optional if you want to use it. Go ahead.
Oh, we'll be using them.
At the end of your podcast, no problem. Bye.
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 That's right.
Oh, no
question. That was more just like
Just a comment.
Called in.
Well, we do
Malcolm,
like Malcolm.
we really appreciate you. Malcolm was, we all had a good time, and we actually have some outros. Actually, we may have missed these.
Don't play them yet. I want to sprinkle them in over the next couple weeks.
Okay, all right. So the other intros that you guys have called in, Nick, I know you called in with one, and Ash from Down Under in Australia. Well, I think your national flag is throwing a shrimp on a bobby. But I think you guys called in. We're going to play them next week during the pre-show and the show.
Teaser.
Yeah, the little teaser. Yeah, kind of spread them out. I apologize because you guys called in early this week. You guys jumped the gun. I really do love that. But we're kind of running over on time, and we've kept Scott here way past his bedtime.
Way past.
From what I understand, he goes to bed at like 6:30 p.m.
No, he wakes up at 6:30 a.m.
I would go to bed that early if I could. All right.
I would too. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I love sleeping.
Sleeping's kind of the best.
Hey, completely off topic. Let's talk about sleeping for a second.
Yeah.
I finally heard back from my doctor from the sleep study I had to do.
Mm-hmm.
Finally. Apparently, I have severe sleep apnea. Severe.
Shocked Pikachu face.
So I'm going to be like next week or the week after, whenever the 17th is. I don't know what the day is currently.
Getting fitted for an incubation chamber that you can sleep in?
Basically, so I did the at-home test, and they're like, well, that's not going to be enough. So we're going to need you to come back and stay the night in our sleep chamber.
Sir, the system was clearly not working. It says you took 3 breaths the whole night.
We don't know how you're alive. So yeah. Yay!
Dan, I'm actually
we'll see.
really excited for you to get
I might be able to breathe and sleep normally at Maker Camp. So
that's actually, so the thing is, if we go in the same house, if we're keeping the same crowd, everyone's gonna get their own room. So, you can set up your CPAP. But Dan, I'm really happy you're getting this thing.
I am too, because I am tired all the time.
There's other people in the community that have talked to you about this already that were also fighting it, and then they got it. Like Lee loves it. Lee gets so much rest.
I'm not looking forard to sleeping with the thing.
You can be dancing every Friday, bro. That's how good it is.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. It'd be a long time before I start dancing every Friday. Anyway, that's my little news.
Oh man, that's exciting. But what's also exciting is just having Scotty on a podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, I had a great time.
We genuinely appreciate it.
It was pretty good.
It was half decent.
It was half decent. You were so half decent.
So
you're almost 3/4 decent.
Half decent.
Yeah, double plus good. If I'm asking George Orwell here, but anyways, that was a 1984 joke. If anyone got it, or whatever. Really happy to have you on, dude. Thank you so much. Big fan of your content. Check out Scotty at Scotty D Walsh on Instagram.
Yeah.
Or Scott D Walsh Woodworking on YouTube.
Nah,
no
YouTube
D.
is just Scott Walsh. Just
Scott Walsh Woodworking. Oh, is it just Scott Walsh? Okay.
Just Scott Walsh. Just my name. It's all you need. Is my name.
JUST Scott Walsh. Just Scott Walsh. And then also check out his website, scottwalsh.co.
Yeah, which is not really officially launched, but that'd be cool.
But I can load it on my ancient computer.
Give me.
If you're listening to this in the future, it might be there.
All right, I gotta publish it tomorrow, guys. All right, Rachel.
But you can get plans from him. He's got some great content. Go check it out. And if you have any small shop questions, he's the guy to talk to because he has been doing amazing work out of his small shop. Thank you so much for being on. And thank you to our patrons for being amazing. And you know what, Scotty, do you have a Patreon?
I don't. No,
you don't. But when he does, y'all should consider getting his. Not jumping ship, just also adjacent to ours. Get a second.
I'll get around to it one of these days.
Yeah, go help him out there. Dan, you got anything else to add?
Yeah, big shout out to our patrons. Be sure to share the show, share with everybody you know. Leave reviews, do all that jazz. We appreciate everybody who listens.
It really means
each and every week.
Helps out a lot.
And we'll see you next week.
Yeah. And we're going to end the show with Malcolm doing one of his outros.
I lost a bet, and now I do all their voiceover work.
All right.
Thank you, Malcolm.
Love you a long time.
Love you a long time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.